and welcome to ADHD Friendly. I'm Patty. I'm an ADHD coach, and I am focused on supporting myself to tilt the playing field so I'm thriving with ADHD. And I like to share what works for me, what I find to support me to do that with you in the hopes that it does the same for your life. So this is episode 144, and today we're going to be talking about creating a family command center.
Ooh.
And the family can be you live on your own, you are your family, you have family with kids, you have extended family living with you. It's just you and your partner. Family is what you define as your family, but having a one place to have everything corralled is really key when we have ADHD. So I'm just going to talk about how to just go about setting one up, what might be included in yours, and I've got some pictures. So if you're listening to this, ADHD Friendly on YouTube is where you want to go. All right, let's start as we always do with a celebration.
Woohoo!
Like I was just telling you before we started recording, I did my pickleball.
Yeah.
That was my goal and that was my reward. It was one of my 24 and 2024 things that I wanted to try pickleball at least once. And then I saw that Costco sold a whole set. So they sell the net, the 4 paddles. I think it came with 6 balls. And I was like, I'm going to make that my reward for not spending.
Yes.
So I did. And I set it up when my son and his girlfriend were visiting. We, chalked the whole thing, measured it out, and played pretty much every day they were here. And I just love it. I just love it. It is so much fun. So my celebration is that I used my 24 and 24 list to pull me in and remind me of my intention, but then I used my goal to track my spending and use it as a reward for not spending money on kind of impulse things and intentionally spend money on something that I ordinarily would have a hard time spending money on, because it was $199 at Costco. And that included shipping. But that, for a yard game, that's a little pricey. But I just knew that it's something that, because we have a very flat driveway.
Yeah.
And I was like, if we just set that up, we're good to go for the summer. And I just thought that would be a fun way also to get my 24 minutes outside, like, doing something physical in on those days where maybe I'm not feeling it as much, kind of creates that sparkle and changes it up. And that's what it's been doing. So I have been loving it. All right, so that takes me to what I purchased this week. So I shared in the last episode, I am stretching my goal to 3 weeks. So I just finished the first week. I had to restart. You weren't here when I recorded the last episode, but I did buy a couple of things and I wasn't allowed to count that week. But my celebration was that I didn't then kind of be like, well, whatever. And I just kept shopping. It was very mindful in the sense that I was like, okay, you can do an all or nothing thing here and be like, well, you already spent past your limit this week. So just keep going. But I didn't. I spent nothing else. I spent on the first day, but I still didn't spend the rest of the week. But in being in my integrity of my intention, I didn't count that week. So I had to start the 3-week clock over. And what I noticed, here's another little celebration that I needed, was a little accountability. So I didn't have a specific goal identified, like a reward identified. So I kind of realized I needed that, because the other ones, I knew what I wanted. I wanted the bookcases to do the hobbies. I wanted the pickleball to play pickleball. I didn't have a specific thing lined up. And it could just be sparkly, just to be like, oh, now you get to go antiquing or something. I don't know. But I realized I really I'm going to go on a road trip later this summer, and I want to get a mani-pedi.
Oh, that's a great idea for a treat yourself.
Exactly.
Totally.
And I'm going to take my youngest because she's going on the road trip with me. So she was so excited about it that I thought, I can't blow this, because I can't do it if I am spending, because I'm identifying it as my reward.
Stick to your plan.
And it really did help, because my husband is framing my puzzles for me that I want framed. And I needed more backing for it. And when I went in Amazon to get the backing, of course, it suggested some more puzzles. I do need some more puzzles. And I put one in the cart and I came really close to checking out. But when I saw the amount, I realized I'm over the amount again if I purchase this. And I was like, I don't need the puzzle. I do need the backing so that he can actually frame them. So I took the puzzle out and I put it in save for later.
Good.
And I didn't get it. I know, because I was like, no. And really, it was the accountability with telling my daughter I was going to get a mani-pedi with her. If it was just me, I probably wouldn't have had the ability to pause there and not do it. So accountability partners, where you need them, they're a game changer. All right. So on for my tip for this week, for this episode, again, episode 144. This came from a Psychology Today article from their July-August issue. So for this summer, it's in the latest edition. And the article itself was called "Quality Sleep is Essential to Stop Negative Thought Loops." You know, that got my attention.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I've focused a lot on sleep. We've done multiple segments on the podcast over the last few years on sleep, and anything to do with what I know gets in the way with sleep related to ADHD automatically captures my interest. So this article was right up my alley. And the little frustrating thing was I read the article 3 times. It never once specifically talked about the negative thought loops again. It was just like an attention grabbing, like,
Yeah, to get you to read
and
it.
I was like, why doesn't it specifically say? So I'm gonna just highlight that right now. I'm gonna share some quotes that kind of talk around the negative thought loops, and then I'm extrapolating that, that's what it means. And again, this article was not specifically for people with ADHD, but what I know is that having those kind of ruminating thoughts is a really common challenge for us with ADHD. So understanding why that might be, I thought could be helpful. Someone's going to share some of the quotes from it. So they said almost every psychiatric condition, whether it's anxiety, bipolar disorder, ADHD, or dementia, is substantially affected by lack of quality sleep. They said poor sleep undermines your impulse control, making us bingy. I love that word, bingy. It makes me feel like it's like a lighter way to be like, was I bingy with this? They said making us bingy, settling for quick fixes over meaningful goals. So that's kind of what I call that default mode decision, when we're just kind of grabbing the Oreos on the counter because they're there and they're easy, instead of maybe a piece of fruit that might take a little bit more effort.
Yeah,
and isn't quite as sparkly. Yeah. So they said during deep sleep, that REM sleep, the brain does massive maintenance work, cleaning out the byproducts of the day's worth of thinking. So this is where the thoughts come in. So if you're not doing the deep restorative sleep, your brain isn't able to clean out all of the byproducts of all of those thoughts. So they said it's also essential for your memory formation and for processing information. They said the more you think or learn by the day, the more deep sleep you need that night. I love that. This I can't, like, I just love this idea. It comes up a lot with my work with my students, but I always say, like, we don't outgrow this. How our ADHD shows up might change as we go through our life, but it doesn't typically go away. So understanding how sleep is impacting it is really key. So then they said that digital technology has ended boredom. That's so, remember, for those of us with ADHD brains, boredom is our kryptonite. So we'll do anything to avoid being bored. And technology, they said digital technology, like that mobile technology, has eliminated it because we're just picking it up without even thinking about it.
Totally.
So they said boredom previously afforded us time to think about a conversation we had, an upcoming meeting, or future plans. That thinking needs to happen sometime. And the only time our brains have left is before we fall asleep.
Duh.
Well, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
so that's why my mind's racing at night. That's why I'm having a hard time settling my brain to fall asleep, because I haven't given my brain time to process and think through the things that need to be thought through. So they said, give your chance to think earlier in the day so that you can sleep better at night.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
I know. So they said the positive cycle of better sleep equals better memory and better mood and less impulsivity. And I say to that, yes, please.
Yes.
So just another quick reminder that sleep, for me, it's the place we start. Like I personally, sleep, diet, exercise, diet being what you fuel your brain with. And I think sleep is the linchpin, whatever that saying is the one that supports all the others. Because if you're sleeping, it's just allowing you the energy to exercise, the ability to make better choices about your health. Like, it just creates that positive cycle. So I always say start with sleep. All right. Our topic for today, establish a family. I don't know where to put my pin. Oh, Becca, I forgot the number. How did I forget? Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. And there are 10, count them, 10 more
10
subscribers. So we're at
more.
912. No, it's not that I don't care.
No, we care.
It's literally, I was so excited about pickleball. I went off. Sorry. Welcome, new subscribers. Thank you for taking the time. I would never want to be remiss. I would actually come back and record, or at least record a clip for
little
Becca to insert
snippet.
in editing, because I would never want to not acknowledge. So 912.
Ooh.
912. I feel like that's an area code somewhere. I don't know where, but welcome. Okay, so on to a family command center. So what is a family command center? I'm going to give you the definition I found on Wikipedia.
Ooh.
They said it is a spot in the home designed to keep you and your family organized. That's it.
Love that.
So whether you are your own family or you have multiple people using the same space, thinking about what that could look like for you is key. And so I always start with what's in it for you to set this up, because if you don't have something that's working efficiently for you right now, it's going to take some thought, it's going to require some decisions, and it's going to take some effort to put it in place. So what will you get for that? Maybe a spot to corral your mail. So it's not kind of, I put it over here, I put it over there. It might be on the floor. It might be, maybe I left it
in a drawer
anywhere.
Yeah.
Storage for your supplies. So maybe you need a place to keep those things. They could be related to mail. They could be related to your home, your keys, that kind of thing. You'll be able to see your time and your commitments if you have a calendar in your command center, so you can see what's coming up for the day. And it's going to save you time and energy. Hopefully it's going to save you time from like running around looking for things, because they're in the command center. You know where that's where they go. So that's where they'll be. So some things to keep in mind. First, keep it simple. Start with a simple plan and notice what's working and what would work better. So if you just start with a location and you just notice like what you like or don't like about it, you'll be able to keep tweaking it. So it's going to continue to evolve to work better for you. Keep it visible. My favorite thing is keeping things in sight. So when possible, use bins that you can see into to store your shoes or to store your keys, etc. All those things. And a calendar, like a visible way to see your time. And so there's some things to consider including in your command center. Could be a wall calendar. I love a dry erase calendar.
Oh yeah.
But again, that would require you to erase and, add the dates, but it's a game changer. But if not, just buy a pinup calendar with your favorite. Like I personally, I'm going for the Star Wars or the Harry Potter themes. So every month I turn the picture. It's exciting. It's pulling me to turn the picture. Maybe consider some bins, a clock. Yeah, a clock. Clocks everywhere, analog. Some hooks maybe for your jackets, and some baskets for shoes and things just to easily toss in there, but you can see into them and easily get to them. All right, so now I'm going to share some tips to begin one.
Yeah.
So if this is like piquing your interest, you're like, I really am sick and tired of being sick and tired of losing things and getting frustrated or running late because I'm trying to figure out where did I put my blank, right? We're trying to run out the door. We can't find our keys. We can't find our wallet. We can't find our purse. We can't find our shoes. Fill in the blank. It's frustrating. And we don't want to drain our energy with frustration. We want to get out of the house with ease. Our brain is calm. We're like, oh, what will I listen to, instead of beating ourselves up while we're driving, going, I cannot believe that I'm now whatever.
Running 10 minutes.
Yep. All right. So the first thing is choose the location. It might be where you come into the house most frequently, might be the obvious place to start. I like the idea of having one where you come in and exit the house most frequently. And then I like having one by the bedrooms.
Oh,
so like
smart.
It might be, I know like when the kids were young, I didn't want their devices in their rooms. So we had like a digital command center in the hallway that was just, the chargers, and it was just space for them to put their, really, it wasn't even phones until like a few years later. When they were really little, it was, like maybe like their little digital games and things, but it's like older, it was like absolutely no tablets, no phones in the bedrooms. But to have something set up, so it's just kind of like, this is what we do. Like you get this, especially if you're like your kids, like you give them their first device. It's like, okay, so let's go see where it's going to stay at night. Let's tuck it in, right? We're going to put it where it belongs. Step number 2, once you have the location, identify and add the essential pieces. So it could be, oh my gosh, we have to have a calendar, or we really need a message board so that, we can pin things up and that's where we know to go look. I love my message board to capture like my little honey-do list for my husband. He always jokes that he never looks at it, but I know I'll always go to it and write on it. And then all I have to do is remind him that there's new things on there for him to go look at. A to-do list. For me, it's the honey-do list. Charging cords might be something like to make sure you have cords for every device you're going to be keeping there. And then once you have your essential pieces, create a routine to tidy it and to update it. So maybe as you're noticing like, oh my gosh, like all the mail is just like piling into a stack. maybe you maybe kind of like roll in a little shredder, little
Ooh.
trash can next to it, just like little things that you notice will help to keep things moving smoothly so that it's working for the way you're using it. And that's part of the just experiment. Just set it up and begin, and then tweak it and evolve it as you notice how you're using it. Okay, so now I've got some visual examples. Again, if you were listening to this, I invite you to check out the YouTube channel if you want to see the examples I'm going to be sharing. The YouTube channel is ADHD friendly, where everything is ADHD friendly.
Yeah.
All right. So again, just notice as I'm sharing these pictures, what is sparkly, and I'll talk through them if you're listening to this to kind of give you a sense of what I'm showing. But just notice what would work or what wouldn't work. There's no one perfect solution for everyone. There really is just what's going to work for you. And you're going to notice that if you pay attention to how you feel about different solutions. This is one of my favorites, Becca. I don't have this.
Oh, I love
So
that.
this is just like a little side of the fridge kind of area. This one has a built-in fridge, so it's a wall to the side of the refrigerator where they just built in little cubby, almost like built-in little shelves,
Yeah.
like bins, if you
Cute.
will. I like this idea if you have multiple people in the family, each can have their own, or you can do it by what they're sorting in each area. And then of course, an analog clock on top. This totally got me. And a little pin-up board so you can pin things to it. Very neat. It has little labels. Let me hold it way up here. It has little labels for what the different little bins are for. It's very monochromatic, so I like that the white on white cabinet, so it doesn't kind of stand out in a way that's distracting.
Right. Yeah. No,
Because
it's
for
really
me, this would get in
clean.
the way if I had this in the center of my home when my kids were smaller, if I couldn't keep it tidy. I don't want people coming in and seeing it.
Seeing
I've
it.
always kind of kept my command center tucked a
Tucked
little out of the
away.
way because it was just always hard to keep it looking like it was never looking like this. There were
Yeah.
always a few papers, all over the place. But if this is something that you could keep tidy, or if the messiness wouldn't bother you because it's more important to have it in sight than it is to have it out of sight. And,
Yeah, you're not using it then.
then keep that in mind, what's going to work for you. So if you need something out of sight, I like this again because it's out of sight, but it's not completely out of the way. It's kind of centrally located.
Oh,
And this is just, yeah, it's just a little cabinet. Like it looks like it's right off of the kitchen is what I'm guessing. I like this idea a lot because again, it doesn't look like it'd be very like resistant creating, like I wouldn't mind opening the doors. It's very pleasant to look at inside. Yep, it's got the little memo pads on the doors. So think of it as like a double doored closet that you're opening, just a small little like cabinet. And it has hooks for keys. It has hooks for hats and bags and purses. Along the top, it has a place with a little shelf for like recharging cables and just different things I need. I really like the idea of this if you know that you need to close the doors and not see it, if you couldn't tolerate having it out.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to really encourage you to do if you are a person that this would work for is really notice where would this need to be so that you could get to it easily. Because remember, if we have any resistance to going and accessing these things to, if it's like, oh, well, I want a cabinet, but the closest cabinet is
upstairs
or downstairs in the basement or something. If you're not going to walk downstairs to put your hat or your keys away every single time, that's not the place that's going to work for you to solve those challenges like a command center is. A command center is literally the place that's pulling you into putting things because it's creating ease. So that's the only thing I would caution if you're thinking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one, I love this, Becca. I'm like toying with the idea. This is very similar to what I have.
Yeah.
I like that. So it's calendars for 2 months. This is my favorite little adaptation. Becca knows like I am obsessed with semester calendars, but I love this idea for a family calendar so you can see the current month and then the little further stretching. And then you're just kind of updating. And this would be even easier if you could just move this here and move this down here easily so you don't have to erase and rewrite every time.
Smart.
So they're just showing a 2-month glance. And that's why I wanted to highlight this one because it really is a nice way to stretch your view of time, especially in a busy family.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you know what, my favorite thing about this kind of view of a family calendar is I'm always looking for where's the empty weekend. I'm an introvert. I love a weekend with nothing. So it makes it easier for me to say yes or no to things. If I'm like, oh, I can see these 3 weekends in a row we're busy, I'm going to protect some weekends here to make sure I'm not so depleted that I'm not showing up, kind of setting myself up to be showing up the way I want to show up instead of showing up agitated and irritable. I was talking to my sister last week and over the 4th of July weekend, or I should say this past weekend. She's like, oh, yeah, I hope you're doing something special for the 4th of July. And I was like, well, we just had, my son and his girlfriend here, and I'm going to go on a road trip in a couple of weeks. And that's a lot for me travel wise. Like she likes to have things. And I'm like, no, I'm really in like this weekend, I'm hoping to read. I finished 2 books, like play a little pickleball, but I wasn't going out and about because there was already enough of people and all of that. So notice what works for you. Again, they have little clipboards hanging.
I like that too.
Here, like that a lot.
Yeah.
You can pick them up, take them with you, and hang them back up when you're done. Good for tracking habits, that kind of thing. So that's another option.
Fun.
Okay, this was another like, oh, I love this so much.
Ooh, it's a big boy.
It's a giant calendar. It's just a giant calendar on a wall. It looks like, in an entryway hallway.
Yeah.
Might be coming off of like a mudroom or a garage kind of, before you get to the main part of the house. I could see that going.
Yeah.
I stinking love how big it is.
Yeah.
It will fit everybody's schedule. It's easy to read. It pulls you in. You can't ignore it.
Yeah.
There's no missing it. And it looks like it's just a simple laminated calendar. Yeah. So I don't imagine this would be very expensive at all. I love this idea. So I just wanted to share it. I would literally do this if I still had small kids. I don't feel like I need it so much right now, but I love this so much if I had small kids. Okay. This is a simple little, like just on a little space of a counter, just using the wall behind the counter, again, with clipboards.
Love that.
Little menu showing what's coming up, little place for notes. Simple, and a couple of these little magazine organizers. Simple, right? You could have one for each member of the family to put papers, books, whatever you need. I love that for like library books that they're getting back, whatever it is. It's just simple and easy to create. This whole thing probably wouldn't cost, I'm not kidding, $20, maybe $30, like easy.
Very
done.
Priced.
This can be done really easily. And then this is my favorite because it's most like what I did for my kids when they were little.
The lockers.
I stinking love these. I don't remember if I got them from Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those. I literally had 4. Each kid had the hooks for their backpack and jackets. Their shoes went in the bottom. They had space on the top. Like it was just everything went in there. No, it was not this neat. They were shoved with stuff. It was just crammed. But every kid, that's what I was like, if I saw the backpack, I'm like, where's the backpack go? When you're done with it, where's it go? So it was in their lunch boxes would go in here. So it was just easy to keep up with. I knew where to go look for things if they went to sleep. And I'm like, wasn't I supposed to get a permission slip? I could go find that kid's backpack and go into it and get it out. Stinking love this. I had this in the middle of my, what would have been like a formal living room. I never had space for formal rooms. I did not care. Like it was like the first thing, because the living room dining room was as soon as you walked into the house. So it was very visible. It was very crammed. I had a huge chores chart stuck with Velcro behind this because it was like almost like dividing the room into 2. It was absolutely a game changer. It was so worth the eyesore that it created. It was not the prettiest thing, but oh my gosh, it worked. So I love this. If I had place, I could have tucked it. I actually had a pretty big walk-in closet I could have put it into, but my family was not going to open doors and walk-in closets to go put it and keep it nicely tucked away. It wasn't going to happen. So work with who you are, what you know about yourself. So you're creating a command center that works for you and your family. So yeah, again, episode 144, if there's some ideas that you've done to create a command center for yourself or your family, we love to hear what works for you because we learn from each other. All right, on to my book for the week.
Ooh.
Becca.
Is it the same?
It's the sequel. Yes. So this was The Guncle Abroad. This just came out. I was on the wait list for it. I think I'm the first person that read it, which at least is very sparkly for a library book. I loved it. It took me a little while to get into it.
Okay.
But I think that was more because I was having a hard time sitting. I was listening to a lot. So I've gotten into my listening and ebook reading. This was because it was brand new, only available in physical copy.
Oh, wow.
I just released my hold. I think I was still 6 weeks away from getting the ebook. And I don't even know if there was an audiobook available through my library. So I was like, okay, I have to sit. I can't knit. I can't just sit and read. And that was really hard. But now I'm really grateful for Thank You, Guncle, because I got back into physically reading books again. But
it's bigger than like the other book.
I think it's probably similar. I don't know. I think it's about the same. I think it's 5 years later from where the Guncle left off. And the kids, of course, are 5 years older. and the dad's getting remarried. I'm not spoiling it at all.
Right.
That's like literally chapter 1. And it just tells of their adventures. The dad's getting remarried in Italy, I believe.
Ooh, how gorgeous.
But so he takes the kids on like a little like European vacation before they meet up for the wedding. And let's just say the kids may not be on board with the wedding. So same humor. I'd forgotten how funny the first one was. Same great humor. I laughed out loud. I got teary-eyed a few times. Just a fun summer read. So I highly recommend this one. Very, very enjoyable. And that leads me to my quote of the week, which is from the Gunkel. And it's about text. I'm going to bring us full circle back to what I said about sleep. So this is from The Gunkel Abroad by Stephen Rowley. And this is Patrick, who is the Gunkel. Patrick pulled out his phone and stared at it, unsure as to why he did. That happened a lot lately. It was the interesting thing about straddling a generational divide. He lived more than half his life without a smartphone, and everything had been just fine. Now he reached for his device impulsively, with an overwhelming desire to cut short the moment he was in, hoping for a different, better moment, like his entire body had been neurologically rewired. It was a sick addiction.
Oh.
I literally like grabbed the book and felt like my fingers were on the photocopy and photocopied it, because I was like, that's literally what the article on sleep, what we know. It's just, and I just feel like it's something that is really not designed to support ADHD. We're looking at it and in it before we even realize we've picked it up. And what I always say, if you have impacting working memory, is you'll forget why you picked it up, and you're suddenly like 30 minutes has gone by, and it's like, wait a minute, what did I even, there was something I meant to look for or do, and it's gone. It's vapor. So that was just a reminder for me that, you know what, I like the digital, but maybe I need to be a little bit more, I'm just paying attention more to how often am I picking it up? Do I really need it? At that accessible, that much? So the physical book helped me with that, because I've been reading so much on my ebooks. My phone's always in my hand. I don't know if that's the best thing. Even as I say that, because I'm also a verbal processor, I'm like, maybe I should go back to Kindle reading, where I do have a Kindle I never use.
Bad idea.
No, I'm like, it's a real small little thing. It's not much bigger than my phone. I could easily, maybe that's a little experiment I'll run. All right, so that's it for this episode 144. Establish your command center for your family. If that's something that's sparkly or would support you, I'd love to hear what you do. But as always, take what works for you, leave the rest behind, because that's how we thrive. Until next time, tally ho.